Hello and welcome to the Ucommerce 9.5 webinar. We're so pleased to have you all joining us today as we launch the next version of Ucommerce. We have a lot of awesome stuff in store for you, and I would encourage you to stay around for the end of it, where we have not one but two surprises. So without further ado, let's just switch to the slides. There we go, and dig into the meat of it. So first up, we'll take a look at Ucommerce 9.5. It's a version of Ucommerce we've been working on for a long time, and it includes one of maybe the most important capabilities for e-commerce, promotions. So we're really excited to show you how the actual thing works today after giving you a preview the last time around. Joining us as a mystery guest a little later on, you'll get an insight into some working process and some new stuff that we're going to share with you today around the services we can offer you as partners. And once that's all done, we will dig into a roadmap update where you get a little bit of an insight into cloud, into Headless, into all the things that we work in. Also a little bit about CMS capability that I think some of you might be interested in knowing about. Before all that, I think it would be great if we could get to know each other a little bit. So it's always fun to know, where everybody's from. So and also, as part of the practical information, it gives me a sort of an excuse to teach you a little bit about how the software you're viewing this presentation through works. So the first thing is, if you have questions, please use the two little speech bubbles there on the right-hand side of your screen to ask questions. We have a team of moderators standing by to promote the questions, so I can sort of post them to my colleagues here who are joining us today, and some of them I will be able to answer on my own. So to try that out, let's see if we can get acquainted today. So first I'll introduce where I'm from, and I'll hope you all will play along and let us know where you're joining us from in the world. So my name is Soren. I'm the founder of Ucommerce. I live in a city called Silkeborg, which is sort of a nice place with lots of lakes and forests and things like that. So I'm happy to meet you all, maybe for the first time, maybe many times over. Please use the chat to introduce yourself so we can sort of get to know each other a little bit, and show me where to ask the question, so we can get a little bit of a dialogue going. While you're doing that, let me just talk a little bit about the presentation and all that today. So this presentation is being recorded, so you can check it out later with friends and family if you're so inclined. Have some popcorn, curl up by the fire, watch a great bit of video presentation, just saying. And also the slides will be available after the fact for those of you who are interested. Okay. So without further ado, let's just see what we're doing here. So next up is the actual Ucommerce 9.5 release. So we're really excited about this. This is one of the very, very important releases of Ucommerce because it does cover a major feature capability of Ucommerce. So, but before we do that, let's just look a little bit about what Ucommerce is based on. So as you know, Ucommerce consists of 4 subsystems: catalog, promotions, transactions, and order management. And we've been working for a while now to revamp all those UIs to bring them into a new technology stack called Condo. That's the back office, the new back office that some of you may have seen. Faster workflows, much more fluid, no startup times and things like that. It's just super, super snappy. So if you haven't tried it out, I definitely encourage you to do that. What we're looking at today is promotions, which we're getting ready to launch. In fact, we're very close on that one. So the promotions app that sort of redoes the entire way we've been working with promotions within Ucommerce so far. So before I show you the new stuff and what it looks like, let's just take a look at the old stuff. And I just want to remind you that this is a UI that was done some 10 years ago. In fact, the first version of this launched in Ucommerce 2, right? So we're up to version 9.5 today. So this is something that's been around within the platform for a long, long time. One of the things that worked really well and continues to work really well within a marketing foundation, which we're renaming today to the promotions app, is the flexible underlying rules engine that enables you to compose lots of different discounts. So you can we split basically the criteria that you have to meet to get a discount from the actual award, which actually inherently gives you a lot of flexibility in the way that you can set all this up. So back then we came up with this model of triple A, so advertise, act, and award. Many of you will have heard me talk about that over the years. And I thought it was a grand idea, and it did serve us well for a long time, but it turns out that, you know, when a developer comes up with nomenclature and words for things, it's not necessarily super easy to understand for users of the system, which is definitely the case here. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about, you know, and also it was a little cumbersome to work with getting everything set up. So one of the cool things that happened within Ucommerce over the past many months is that we've been expanding and adding more capabilities to the team, much bigger product team, you know, UX, Urte here, who has done a ton of field research on Ucommerce 9.5 and the promotions app to sort of learn how our digital merchants work with discounts and sort of turn that into a workable piece of software that means you get more stuff done faster than before. And so let's take a look at the new UI, what that looks like. So this is the Condo UI, where we have sort of various things going on. First and foremost, to the left there, you can see sections, promotion, properties, criteria, and discounts. We're renaming some concepts in here. So criteria used to be act, and discounts used to be award. Peter will also show you that in a little bit. So these are navigable sections that you can really quickly scroll to, like any other place within Condo, or you can just click to it. So there are different ways of getting there. Also, some little details that you might not notice, but you'll see there at the top that it says published within that radio button. And it used to be called enabled, and it just shows that the little details do matter quite a bit when building an app like this. So enabled, what does that mean? Well, published, we felt, in the words that we were getting back from merchants that we were researching with, was much more in line with what the expectation was, that the discount is actually live and available for customers rather than enabled. It was a little confusing. And there are other scenarios like that. The next piece of text where it says allow following promotions to be combined with this one. Also something that's a little more straightforward, a little more human readable than sort of the developer-y speak that we came up with originally. Little things like that. Of course, the big stuff like how fast it is to work with, much more important, but it's just some of that gives you a little more clarity as you work within this application. And so rather than talking about it, I feel like we should invite Peter here, Peter Ilniecki, onto the call and show some of the workflows, because I think you will be quite surprised at how much more fluid the new app is actually. So over to you, Peter. Take it away.
Hi, my name is Peter Ilniecki, and as mentioned, I'm a front developer here at Ucommerce. And as promised, I'll walk you through all the good stuff that Ucommerce Dev Team has been working on past few months. We're going to start with the walkthrough of the old UI, then we'll have a look at the new UI. And actually, this is the first time when we managed to put in more than we planned for. So there's a little extra that I'll get to in a second as well. So it's 15:09 and I'll share my screen, and I have about 10-15 minutes. Let's see how it goes. So first of all, let's have a look at the old UI. You can see this is, as you're familiar with, the old marketing node. And in order to get where the meat is, which is the campaign item, but to use the new terminology, promotion, you have to drill down all the way here in the marketing foundation node. Imagine if you have lots of campaigns, lots of promotions, this list will become super large and the tree itself will become very quickly unusable. So this is the old UI. You're well familiar with it. And the old AAA marketing strategy, advertise, act, award, that's a wording that has been confusing everyone for quite a while. So we decided to come up with a new terminology. So act, from now on, it's called criteria, and award, from now on, it's called discount. And so that's how I will address it from now on. And in the old UI, for example, the promo code editor, you're well familiar with it. So right now I'll show a bit of the new UI, and I'll try to compare the old criteria and discounts with the new ones in the new UI. So let's jump into it. So this is Ucommerce 9.5 running on my local machine. As you can see, the marketing node does not exist anymore. We have promotions node, which hides all the complexity of the tree structure in here. So the first page you see is the campaign listing with all the information you know, like the status and the duration, You are able to create new campaign very easily by clicking here, and let's call it campaign 3, and the trust the old avenue clothing, and the duration right here. Once you create it, you are directly inside the campaign edit page, because if you have created a campaign, you probably want to edit it right away. In here, all the familiar info you can rename, you can delete campaigns. So actually, I would like to call it campaign 33. As you notice, this is exactly the way we do pages in all the other apps like catalogs. Exactly the same functionality we have for promotions. So we managed to reuse quite a bit of the components to speed up development. So I would like to actually delete this one. I don't no longer need it, and we are back to campaign listing. So if I go, for example, the default campaign coming with avenue clothing out of the box, I have a list of promotions. So you can see right here, there is the little handle which you can use to drag and drop. And why is this important? It's because if you click on a promotion, there is this allow following promotions to be combined with this one. So you know that you can enable multiple promotions, or you can step at one of them. Let's say you have 5 promotions, but you want only 3 of them to be executed. So at the third one, you stop. So the order matters, and you're able to reorder it much more easily. Right here, let's just compare it with the old UI. If you wanted to reorder list of promotions, you would have to first find them in here, then click on these 3 nodes, click prioritize promotions, then you have to do the prioritization, then you have to submit it, then you have to refresh the tree, and now it's refreshed. Now it's in the order you want it. In the new UI, exactly the same feature, but much more fluid, much more easier. And you don't have to press any save button because we save it as you go. Just like with all these basic fields, if you make a change, we have the undo functionality. So if you make a mistake, it's much easier to get back to the state you were at. Now let's have a look at some promotion rules. Let's say, for example, right here, I have already added two criteria, but I'm just going to remove them so we can start from scratch. Let's have a look, for example, at the product criterion. And the way it works is you open the dialog, and then you can add as many products you want. In the e-commerce terms, this could be useful. For example, if a customer buys a certain product, which is the criteria that I'm setting up right now, then some discount can trigger. And I would like to add a few more. For example, the famous alpaca shirts. And I'm quite happy with this selection, so I can just confirm. And now if I refresh the page, of course, it stays exactly as it was. But actually, I'm not that happy with this selection, so I'm just going to remove one more. Yes, that's exactly what I need. And if I add, there's a very nice discount that pairs really well with this, which is called discount specific order line. Right here in the discount section, you can add it. And in the or on drop down, you can see all these products that you specified in the product criterion right above. So if you have multiple product criterions, it combines all of them and strips all the duplicates. And then there's the any option that you know from the old UI as well. So this is how the product criterion looks in the new UI. And let's just compare it to the old UI. I know you are familiar with it, but let's just have a quick look. In order to get to the product in the old UI, you have to drill down all the way through the catalog structure, and it can be very deep. It can be nested multiple levels. And then you select them, and then you can, filter your selection. We have the same workflow in the new UI, but it's just much more fluid, much more faster, because you can search. And once you search, you can adjust the selection just like this. And that's the notion we wanted to keep for all the other criteria and discounts. We want to keep the same functionality, but make it much faster and easier to work with. That would be it for the product criterion. I can see we have a little bit more time, so we can have a look at another one, for example, promo code criterion. And that's the one we were teasing in the teaser event in May this year. So some of you may have seen it, but if not, this is the time you can do it. So in the old UI, you have to create you can create a manual code, or you can generate a number of codes, for example, 1,000 unique promo codes. And then you can limit your selection again, save, and then you can download the unused promo codes in a text file, and then you can use this list to share these promo codes, for example, in a newsletter, email, and so on. So that's the old UI. And the same criteria, the promo code criteria in the new UI, again, exactly the same functionality, but much more fluid experience. So if we have a look, I can create one promo code manual, another one, and then I would like to create a couple of by toggling between manual and unique. Right here, the same functionality in the old UI was right next to it, which creates a lot of visual noise. In here, we just separate the flows. I would like to create, so all the validation rules now show up, which wasn't the case before. So as you go, you are getting constantly feedback how to improve and how to work with this new UI. So I would like to create promo code, which is 10 characters long. I would like 10,000 of them, maybe. And I would like some nice prefix, and I can generate. And now I have 10,000 promo codes, which is not a problem because all these lists that you have seen, they are lazy loaded. So they're optimized to work with a large amounts of data. And I'm quite happy with it. I just would like to delete these few promo codes. And now when I submit, they're all created here. And you can generate more. You can download the promo codes just like in the old UI. And you can delete them directly from here. So you don't even have to get to the dialog. You just do all the work here. And then the summary updates. And if you happen to use the promo codes, this number here will be incremented just like in the old UI. So again, same experience, but better. I know I've said it multiple times, but that was our goal, and that's what we tried to achieve. And let's delete this promo code criterion. And let's have a look again at the product criterion we saw. So if you open it, you can search for product, you know all that. There's another one very similar, which is called free gift. And free gift discount. So again, if a customer buys one of these, perhaps I would like to give him some free gift. Okay. Well, how about the tie? Okay, this is a single select, just like in the old UI. So if you buy one of these, you get a tie for free. Same experience as in the old UI, but just much faster. Now, the last thing I would like to show you is, maybe you are asking, how about the extensibility? How does it work in the new UIs? We are not shipping extensibility as part of 9.5, but we are including a link to the legacy UI. So you can still get to all your customization and all the changes you have made. Yeah, that's probably it. And you can prioritize campaigns too. That's something I forgot to mention. But that's probably it for me. Yeah, I think so. So just want to say, what an absolute pleasure to be here and be able to present all this. It was a lot of fun to develop, and can't wait for the orders app and so on. And over to you, Soren.
Thank you very much, Peter, for that awesome demo. And I was going like this the entire time, because you know how it goes when you demo. It's bound to mess up somehow, but it didn't. So kudos to you and the team for an amazing piece of work. There are some awesome questions in chat, so you should definitely follow along in there and see. I tried to reply to as many of them as I could as we were going. There's a request for a search capability within campaigns, which definitely makes sense. It's not something we were able to include in the first version, but definitely something that will make a ton of sense in the future. And I just want to highlight, feedback, how you get that to the product team. So it's super simple. You just use the email called feedback@ucommerce.net. You can write an email there, and the product team gets together every Friday at 10 in the morning to triage any feedback that's incoming there. So I highly suggest, once you take it for a spin and find something you want to, where you want more or less or something different, please let us know for now. It's also important to emphasize the point that Peter just made, that we were not able to include extensibility in this new version to begin with. So we're shipping the old UIs on the side. So any old customizations will continue to work, and you can continue to extend that way. We will introduce full extensibility within Condo, and I'll show you within the roadmap walkthrough in a little bit when you can expect that. Okay, so let's move right along here to the Promotions app overall features. So I just wanted to make sure we sort of cover everything. Peter did an awesome job at setting everything up, but basically the Promotion app takes over for the old marketing foundation, which is still available within Ucommerce 9.5. It will be deprecated down the line, so you don't have to deal with two different ones. So with the Promotions app, you can set up and manage groups of promotions for one or more stores. You can do automatically publishing and pausing manually as well. And you can prioritize, as Peter showed, and enable combination of discounts, so you can mix and match. You can also have multiple criteria that needs to be satisfied, like Peter showed, as well as multiple discount that can be combined in one go. And of course, we support like a whole host of different discounts that you're familiar with within e-commerce. I've listed some of them here that I could fit within the slide, but there are many, many more that we support in various combinations. Good. So that's Ucommerce 9.5. There's a ton of fixes in there as well, improvements for Bolt, the APIs, and things like that. So I encourage you to take a look at the release notes to see if there's something in there that, of interest. We were able to incorporate quite a number of fixes in here early on in the process. So really happy about what the engine team managed to get in there. When can you get it? Well, Ucommerce 9.5 is available today. In fact, we just pushed the release button right before we started the webinar here, so you can download it, you can have a play with it. We will have our demo sites updated soon, so you can take it for a spin without installing it yourself. But of course, you can always get it from NuGet or from our website or from Braco Package Store if you want. So I promised a mystery guest, and here we are, right? And I want to introduce a new old person to the team that you may or may not know about. It is Mads Due from the customer success team. So he's here to talk about a new service that we are providing for our partners. So over to you, Mads.
Thank you, Søren. Hello, my name is Mads, and as some of you may know, I have rejoined Ucommerce 3 months ago. I used to be part of the development team working on the platform with focusing on support and conducting our masterclasses. Last time is almost 2 years ago, so a lot have happened to the platform, but also for me personally. I have been out working for an agency to implement Ucommerce and get hands-on experience with working closely together with end customer, which we are a little disconnected from in our daily work life here at Ucommerce from time to time. And also experience, let me see here. Yeah, and also experience how it is to work with Ucommerce from the other side of the table and get to know many of the moving parts that are involved when creating an e-commerce solution, and especially the challenges that will happen in the process. Combined with my many years at Ucommerce and my new gained experience implementing the platform, just like many of you are doing every single day, I now got an opportunity to establish a new brand for our customer success team, where we hopefully can leverage some of the learnings that I've collected in my backpack to give an even better partner and customer experience while not only implementing Ucommerce, but also across the entire lifetime of a solution and the partnership. We call it the solution architect. It is so much more than just conducting meetings and answering emails that you're used to. This gives us the ability to take it a step further where I can take action on your request and execute on it when you need it. One of the overall responsibilities is to ensure that you experience as little friction as possible when working with Ucommerce. For example, to ensure that your team has the right know-how to overcome a challenge, helping to identify potential risk, or even help coding if you need to speed up the development process to reach the tight deadline. So when should you engage with the solution architect? It could be to help out scoping the project, for example, to identify MVPs of features that can be helping you to bring down the go-to-market time. It could be in the beginning of the project where you want to make sure that you are scoping the requirements correctly and to identify areas that would need customization to meet the requirements that you're facing. It could also be in the development process where, it could also be in the development process where the project is running into some unforeseen roadblocks, creating artifacts like POCs, coding to add an extra pair of hands to the development team, quality assurance like reviews, testing before the solution goes live. This is a tool that we are going to offer for our partners that can enable you, that you can enable when you need to quickly gain some extra resources to a project that you can't find internally in your company at the moment when you need it. This means that you will have to reach out, otherwise we can't help you. So I really, really hope that I got you interested and that you want to hear more. So please reach out to me. Thanks for your time, and I hope to see you all around someday. Back to you, Søren.
Thank you very much, Mads. I definitely encourage you to reach out to Mads and inquire about the Solution Architect service. The key here is that it is a service that we're providing to partners only. So we're not aiming to become like an implementer of Ucommerce solutions or anything like that. You should see it as another level of support on top of regular support, the body system that you know, then Solution Architect on top. We're going to be much more hands-on when it comes to what you need in your projects. We see especially new agencies setting out on building e-commerce with Ucommerce for the first time, where the body solution may need to be augmented by a little more, and so this is a response to that, so we can ensure and help you build the most awesome solution for your client. But through you and with you, we will never engage with clients directly with this service. Just very important to say, it is another support level that gives you more hands-on. So I'm really excited about it. I think it's a great way to get a little more feedback into Ucommerce, because we're getting a little more hands-on with the solutions that you're building, and it's also a great way to just to make sure that you have what you need when you need it. And Mads gave some great examples of when you can use it, but it's really up to you. So reach out to Mads and inquire if you're interested in the Solution Architect service. I think there's definitely a lot of leg room in that one. So I think you're going to really enjoy it. Good, let's move right along to a roadmap update. There was a question about .NET Core in chat, so we are definitely going to talk about that today. .NET Core is incredibly important to the future of Ucommerce, to every .NET developer, really. And of course, it is a major part of what of our sort of multi-year roadmap that we'll look at now. So first up, I just want to remind you of what the mission we're on is. So back in the beginning of the year, we launched a new mission, which was basically, that we wanted to make sure Ucommerce is used for mission-critical e-commerce for a certain type of customer, the mid-size. We're not going for the really big stuff. And we will do it via partners such as yourselves. So we will enable you with training, documentation, the Solution Architect service, and all that to build awesome solutions for your clients. The key here is the next line, that we're going to do it across websites, app systems, and other channels. So that means Ucommerce needs to be available in many more modes than what has been the case so far. And also, you have to put a time on a great plan. So of course, we're going to do it over the next 3 years. The actual way we're going to do it is very easy. It's 3 steps, like any good plan, right? First, we're going to go headless. Then we'll build a managed cloud, which will take all the maintenance out of managing a Ucommerce solution. We will offer it as an option next to this traditional product that you know and love. And over time, we'll transition into a cloud-native solution, fully SaaS, where we can leverage all of the capabilities of the cloud. 3 steps: headless first, which means a new API that goes, across all the migrations that we're going to do. Then the managed cloud, so you can opt into that for a while, and then the native cloud. What does it look like, sort of from a timetable perspective? So I know it's a lot of blocks, but if we start here at the bottom, you can see that it says Ucommerce engine. So that's the core roadmap. That is the existing roadmap that we've been building on for a while. So we'll continue that. That'll just carry on through. So we'll continue improving on all the capabilities that Ucommerce has based on your feedback, and just keep evolving that. If you move your attention to the top, you'll see that it says Headless team right there in the left top side there. And basically what we did is at the beginning of the year, we established a new team called the Headless team, which is dedicated to build out the new API. And we're hoping to ship that to you by the end of the year as part of the next milestone. As you can tell in the next one, we're working on the next milestone from a condo perspective as well. We're building out orders and settings in a bit to prepare for .NET Core that one of you asked about. So beginning of next year, we will ship Umbraco 9 and .NET Core. The reason here is that .NET Core is a much more efficient way to run software in cloud. So .NET Core is really a way to make sure that we run as efficiently in cloud as possible. It's also here that we will support Umbraco 9, of course. So the entire platform will transition into .NET Core in Q1 next year. Why not right now? Well, we need Umbraco 9 out first, of course. And we also want to give Umbraco 9 a little bit of time to stabilize. We've sort of experienced from time to time that there were some breaking changes and things that made it a little difficult to support early versions of Umbraco. And seeing as we are doing mission critical stuff here, we wanted to make sure that everything was solid. So we're gonna wait a little bit with the .NET Core stuff, but Q1 the entire team will be focused in on that one thing and that one thing only. You can tell there after .NET Core, we're digging into extensibility for Condo. So that is basically enabling across entire Condo various extensibility capabilities that you know already from the older UIs. One thing that's incredibly cool that I just wanted to talk a little bit about, and Peter alluded to it, but it may not have been obvious what he meant there, is that we were able to reuse a ton of UI components when we were building out the promotions app. And the reason we can do that is because we've started many months ago to unify the way that we do UI across the entire platform. What that means is that everything under the covers is actually definition driven. So in the past, only parts of the Ucommerce UIs were definition driven, but going forward, all of it is actually definition driven, even though you can't see it, which means that we can actually start to enable extensibility across the entire platform in one go. So as we add one extensibility scenario, it will sort of kick in across the entire platform. So I'm pretty excited about that. It's like a very healthy underlying architecture that we're working with there. So I think you're gonna really enjoy it once we start clicking in those new capabilities cross-platform. If we move to the middle, you'll see there towards the end of the year, we're going to establish another team. It's the cloud team that will be dealing with operations. We actually cheated a little bit. So when we built the Headless team, we got started with a little bit of DevOps and things like that to sort of practice a little bit in deployments and things like that in advance. We're going to build that team out a little more, so we focus on building out the managed cloud once we get to that. What's important here as well is that on the next level you see Ucommerce on-premise. That's the Ucommerce you know and love. So I included it here to just give you a sense that the Ucommerce managed cloud is completely optional. You do not have to use it. It is something you can try out, give a go, and get it adopted at your own pace. And you can tell there in 2023 we're going to switch modes into cloud native, so we can start to leverage all the cloud stuff there. Gorast has a question about the roadmap. So he's asking about Sitefinity, and you know what? Great question. You can tell here that we have new versions of CMS support slated for this quarter. In fact, Sitefinity 14, which is due out, I think today, maybe something like that. We have already verified compatibility with the beta of that, so it's basically good to go unless the final version changes much. Sitecore 10.1 is the next thing. We're working on that, but we're other than that, we're focusing in on building order management for the Q4 stuff, so we can focus in on filtering, searching for orders, working more efficiently with with that in the back end. There's some pretty cool stuff in there that I think you're really going to like. One of the really cool thing is a new filtering capability that I'm really excited about. The reason being that because all the UIs are based on the same underlying foundation, it means that we can start to add that same filtering capability in elsewhere in the platform, and search as well, of course. So I think you're going to be really excited about that. We're also going to start working on settings, so we can introduce the first new version of the settings stuff. User-facing settings primarily for permissions, search, and stuff like that. We will not be able to finish the entire settings capabilities in one go, so we are working with CS as well to make sure that we have best practices for the settings that are rarely touched by end users, but mostly by developers. So they will be done via best practice migrations instead for a while as we build out the final pieces of settings. The reason we're sort of rushing it a little bit is that we're sort of lovingly calling the Q4 milestone the last one before .NET Core, because it's important that we get started on that as soon as possible. Q4 as well will also include the Headless API, so the first version of that, as you can tell. And also, just as a little disclaimer, extensibility in Conda will not be included in the Q4 release. We will do that in a following milestone. But I think one of the most interesting and important things of this next release is the Headless API. And so here to give an update on the Headless API is Mads Monrad Larsen, who is our Headless dev lead. Over to you, Mads Larsen.
Thank you, Søren, and I'm so happy to be here. I joined Ucommerce 3 months ago, and I have been working together with the Headless team, having sessions with you as our partners to how you could see Ucommerce could be in a headless version, and we have got a lot of feedback. Even more, we had the time to build the very first POC of a headless version of Ucommerce. It has been so exciting for the team to get hands-on, and I'm hoping that you are as excited as we are when we're done with this. So let's go to the slide. So first of all, why headless? Actually, I want to give you a little task. You could just type in the comment, why do you think headless is important for your company? Meanwhile, I'll say why we think it's so important for you. So headless enables you to be, or enables us to help you being agnostic. That means that we have had a lot of questions. Could we use Ucommerce in WordPress, or could we use it in a bare Angular application? And the answer for that right now is, yeah, you could that, but it requires a little work. Hopefully, next year, when we are releasing the first version of our Headless API, the answer will be a solid yes. You can use Ucommerce seamlessly in WordPress, in Angular, in Vue, wherever you want. That's so huge for Ucommerce that we aren't tied to the .NET framework. Even more, it helped you getting faster time to market. It's more flexible. We can even do extra security on behalf of your website. It will be faster to deploy. We can have more decoupled system. This is just the modern way to make a wild solution. Even more, the Headless API will help you in the transition. So today, we are tied to the old .NET framework. We have pipelines where you can add a pipeline. You can remove a pipeline or change the way a pipeline is executed. You can even replace things in our IOC container. So we are having your own logic. You could inherit or extend that logic. That's so important for us, and we are calling that the framework first. And that we need to keep that while we are transitioning. Right now, and I thought someone had a question that Søren just answered, yes, we are tied to 3 CMSs. But when we transition, we are not tied to a specific CMS anymore. You could use whatever you want. You have a Ucommerce instance, you can use Sitefinity, you can use WordPress. and you have the whole HTTP layer where you can call us and use whatever you want. So our recommendation to you is, while we are transitioning to a headless version, keep up with that. While we release a new endpoint, a new functionality in the headless, we recommend you to begin integrating into that. And at the end, we will develop the whole headless API in the old framework. Then when you have to change to the new .NET Core one, that should be an easy peasy job for you, because your old headless and the headless API will be the same in .NET Framework and in .NET Core. That should be so easy for you. So today we also have what we call best of breed. Søren did a good job last week introducing our commercial lines. If you haven't seen that launch for that, I think you should do it. It's so awesome. What we think is best of breed is, so you have to pick systems that can work great together, and that could take years or months to pick the right solution. Maybe in the first try you're picking wrong and you have to redo something. But we already did that job for you. So we have Umbraco, we have Ucommerce, we have Struct as a PIM, and we have Raptor as a recommendation engine. And we promise you, it's so smooth. We already did a lot of accelerators on this, so it's so easy for you just to plug this in and have a site working in days. One issue here is we're still decoupled. You still have to call Umbraco. You still have to call our headless API. You still have to call Struct's headless API, and you still have to call Raptor. It could be so nice if you could do, as a client, do one call to one of us and just have a story in there you want to tell us, call Umbraco to get some context of a page. Give us that context of the page in Ucommerce so we could serve you some products in there. Struct could bring some additional info in that product. And even more, Raptor could give some additional, maybe your customer wants to buy this. Or actually what you could do, you could have an external tax service because you want to calculate tax in a specific way. This is what the team has been working on the past 2 months. They actually made a POC on this. So what we are able to right now is to put our headless, what we call a composite API, in the middle of all of this. So what you need to do is you need to make one call to us, and we can go through as a story. Yes, we want to call Umbraco, we want to call Ucommerce, we want to call Struct, we want to call the external tax service to get a tax for a specific product. In one call, we can do that for you. And I bet you're, I was a bit mind blown when we figured this out. So I hope you are as well. So let's jump into not code, but just a little JSON piece that tell you how we can do this, or how actually you can do this. So we have one endpoint to rule them all. So you can post us a list with instructions what you need to do for a specific website. So let's take an example. This is a super easy example. This could be so complicated, and this could be supporting so many scenarios. And this is actually what we recommend instead of the pipelines. So when you can't control our pipelines anymore because we are a SaaS solution, then you can do this. It's so cool. So let's see. The first thing is we need to call Ucommerce to get some products. We know it's a get endpoint. We know the path is /products. We need to give it a ref so we can make a ref to it later on. That's it. Then we know how to call our endpoint in Ucommerce. But we also wanted in that call to have a page with some content from Umbraco. That content should be specific to the product or a list of product we actually called before. So same again, we set the method that's a post. In this case, we hit the path and give the path to the system, make a ref, In this case, it has a body with the context we need to pass in to get the right page. So if you look at the body, we need a product ID. In this case, I want to take the second product in the list I'm getting, take the ID from that one, and pass it in to Umbraco to get the right page for that product. If you send this to us, we just do the request against us. While we get the response, we pass it into the request to Umbraco, and here we go. We set in the product ID, we get the right content back, and reserve it for your client as a JSON response. This is so amazing, and I don't know what to say. It's so amazing, and I know it's hard to understand. So I've spent a while to just understand the small piece of this. So if you want to learn more or have a live demo, or if you have some feedback on this specific API or how we're doing pipelines, ideas, anything, please write me an email. Let's set up a meeting, a session with some feedback. I would love to interact with you. So Søren, back to you.
Thank you very much, Mads. Awesome job by the Headless team so far. It is no mean feat what they're trying to do over there, because basically, you know, Ucommerce and framework first go hand in hand, and we know from all the research that we've done that framework first is one of the premier reasons that they're using Ucommerce at all, right? And so transitioning all those wonderful capabilities that we've had for many, many years into the modern web world, where, you know, all we have is a URL and things like that, is not so easy. And the composite API is the first step into realizing a web-based pipeline. We're still sort of trying to come up with a great name for it. So if you have ideas, you know, please write Mads about it. I know he loves to hear about it. And in fact, we can actually take it a step further, because if you think about it, for those of you who are familiar with development with Ucommerce, you know, we have all these components within the platform. And if you think of they all have like a little ID associated with it. And when you think about it conceptually, there's not so much a difference between a URL and a component ID. It is in fact pretty much the same thing. So we believe we can take you to a place where you will be able to swap out the individual little routes within the platform and replace them with your own, so you can actually get something in a web-based world that's very, very similar to what you have today within the pipelines, within the IOC-driven, solid-based architecture of Ucommerce. It's a long road there, but we're taking the first step today by sharing some of the higher-level APIs, and there's so much more stuff in store for you. Please get in touch with Mads if you have feedback, questions, concerns, whatever, or myself. You know, let us know what you think. As Mads, I'm incredibly excited about this concept, because it feels like we sort of cracked one of the key challenges of moving into the cloud. I also should emphasize that, you know, the transition away from IOC and pipelines and, you know, full code control within the app itself is years away, right? So you will have that ability over the many years to basically change the behaviors like you can today. But as Mads said, and this is a key thing to sort of take away today, the Headless API will become the common denominator throughout all the transitions we're going to make. As we transition to .NET Core, we're actually implementing the Headless API in the .NET framework version of Ucommerce, so you can build your solutions against that, and then later on move on to .NET Core without actually changing anything, as long as you're leveraging the Headless API. Same thing is true as we make Ucommerce Managed Cloud available to you. You will be able to use the Headless API to transition to that seamlessly. And also, as we move into the native cloud version of Ucommerce, the Headless API is the way that we will transition you through it. So we will be there holding your hand throughout these numerous transitions that will happen, so we cause as little like disruption to the way that you're building things. So the sooner you can get on the Headless API after we release, the better, definitely. All right, so one other thing, the Headless API will also enable us to work with with the CMSs in a new way, as Mads mentioned. So the ability to use the .NET version, the .NET Core version of Ucommerce with non.NET Core CMSs is also a thing, right? Because the Headless API is accessible, equally from .NET or PHP or Java, wherever. And we will also enable our UIs to run within a non.NET Core CMS. So customers will continue to have the same experience as before. It's a little bit further out, that transition, but it just does mean that deploying Ucommerce will become much easier and upgrading as well, because we will be less sort of intertwined with the CMS. So same experience, you can still build content and commerce websites. You can still manage content and commerce like you can today within the CMS. The integration will change character and mean the underlying stuff will be easier to deal with. That's where we're heading. So that's Ucommerce 9.5, the new promotions app that Peter was so kind to show us. That is Solution Architect from Masdu and Custom Success. Really hope you will enjoy that. And of course, a peek into the new Headless API that we're getting ready to roll out. Before we sign off, I just want to really quickly show you the last bit of the detailed roadmap. So Q1 of next year, we'll see the transition to .NET Core and Umbraco 9. And as you can tell, the roadmap becomes less detailed as we're moving out, because we are in fact a year and a half out at that point. So it's a little too much to plan more than that. But you can tell the main sort of themes. It's cloud, it's headless, and it's the engine. That's where we're going to focus in to make sure we deliver on our cloud and headless promise for you. That is Ucommerce 9.5. It's available today. Download it, enjoy it, and please provide us feedback at feedback@ucommerce.net. I want to thank Peter for the awesome demo, for Mads, the first Mads, for his introduction to Solution Architect, the new support level that we're offering, and the new Mads for the insights into Headless API. And I want to thank all of you today for joining us to see Ucommerce 9.5 and all the awesome stuff we have in store for you. We're just getting started on the cloud journey, and there will be much more stuff as we go. Please get in touch if you're interested in any of this. And thank you for introducing yourselves as well in chat. You can download Ucommerce via NuGet if you're interested. You can also download us from our website and various package stores, but NuGet is probably the easiest to go. If you have any further questions before we let you go, please fire away in chat. I'll keep an eye on that. Otherwise, thank you again for joining us, and I hope to see you real soon. Thank you very much.